Over the last decades, and with the arrival of blockchain, cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin have capsized the economic world by giving individuals the power to interact with each other without any third party involved, neutralizing the role of official institutions such as banks, authorities, and other state institutions. Is it really, as some say, that blockchain will be the end of the state in its current form? Does this mean we are freed from institutions? Or will we still be governed by institutions of another kind?
Crashed into one of the towers of
Once we got stuck in the desert right before sunset. The car wouldn't start. We had no mechanic. So we had to use the knowledge each of us had. And building on one suggestion and expertise after the other, we could finally solve the problem and get to safety. Alone, I couldn't have done that. But collectively, we could. And we made it without needing a mechanic. This always made me think of the power of a group of people focusing on solving a problem. It is just amazing how much more we can achieve together if we can connect what everyone knows. Now that we have the technology to connect globally, I wonder about what we could achieve together. How powerful could we be? I wonder how strong we could become.
The individual who now has a lot more power to decide how they want to economically interact with other people.
By 2030, 4 billion people on this planet will use cryptocurrencies on a daily basis.
أنا أعتقد العالم كله يحتاج هذه المنصات العرب.
There are people who claim that blockchain is a gateway to an inevitable revolution, a revolution that threatens the survival of state institutions and may threaten the survival of the state itself. Is blockchain that dangerous? And I wonder what the future will be like if blockchain fulfilled all its promises. Sometimes I feel that we've built a gigantic world where people mean nothing compared to the size and power of an institution. Experts say it's been going on forever, since we needed a middleman, someone to oversee the transactions and set the rules of the game. We gave power to all kinds of institutions, from governments to banks, and we also gave them the right to keep this power, even by force or violence. Now they say this will change, that we'll need middlemen less and less, thanks to blockchain. But first, I'd like to understand what blockchain really means and what its real potential is. Jameson Lopp uses his skills as a technologist to build tools that empower individuals. I'm lucky he's agreed to speak with me.
Hi, Jameson. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing well. Glad to be here.
Can you explain to me what exactly is blockchain?
So from a technical standpoint, a blockchain is just a data structure. It's a new type of database. You can think of it as a new way of storing historical data that has built-in integrity checks.
How is blockchain connected to the internet revolution? And what kind of change does it bring with it?
It really, of course, taken away the concentration of power of who can control communication and narratives. And it has turned the individual into someone who now has a lot more power to decide how the information gets shared and how they want to economically interact with other people. This is what we call peer-to-peer, and basically it means that you now are much more connected to everyone else in the world. You don't necessarily have to go through third parties because you're just doing it directly with whoever you want to interact with.
How does blockchain facilitate peer-to-peer transactions?
Because you're no longer having to trust a third party to maintain the integrity of that database and to trust that they are not tampering with it. Now everyone can download it and can read it and can audit it. And this creates a whole new trust model for data.
Do you think blockchain is rewriting economic power?
Well, yeah, so now people are talking about the metaverse, and they're talking about, essentially buying like decentralized land properties or objects or NFTs that will work in the metaverse. The problem is, we don't know what platform is going to end up being the major network, because these things all have network effects, and there's going to be one dominant one and then probably a lot of other smaller ones, but most of the value is going to accrue in one dominant one. And I just hope that it's not Facebook, because I don't want it to be, a centralized corporate surveillance type of virtual reality setup.
It's an attractive idea that the basis for future interaction will be voluntary, horizontal, and secure. And privacy is important. A whole new world in which we are taking charge. But are we really able to replace the institutions that manage transactions between people? There are people who say that we are able, and that we have already begun to liberate ourselves from the establishment's control, and that the revolution has begun. And their example is digital currencies, which is one of the applications of blockchain. There are people today who are able to live their lives normally without having to deal with banks, which are controlled by a complex capitalist banking system, and without needing to deal with traditional money, the price and issuance of which are controlled by countries. All this through digital currencies. Matthew van Niekerk, a business pioneer and an expert in financial technology, will tell me about cryptocurrencies and about the revolution against the traditional banking system.
Hi, Matthew. Thank you for making the time.
Yeah, hi, Amr. It's a pleasure to be here.
I have a few questions for you. What are cryptocurrencies and how do they work?
So essentially it's the same as cash as we know it today. And it has the properties of being able to exchange peer-to-peer. So I can engage in transactions in a peer-to-peer way without requiring the involvement of banks or other intermediaries to guide transactions in the process.
How do you imagine the future with blockchain?
So it's early days. There's a lot of adoption to come ahead. But I do believe that by 2030, 4 billion people in this planet will use cryptocurrencies on a daily basis. And by then, maybe not just on this planet, maybe on Mars as well. We'll see.
What will happen to all middlemen? Do you really believe they will all disappear?
I think that for society to operate, there's still a role for some intermediaries to be involved. No, I don't think that blockchain will completely remove intermediaries. there's still what a lot of intermediaries that we work with today in society, I think, become gatekeepers in a way. So there's a role in some form of gatekeeping to make sure that information that's put on chain is legitimate. There is still a role to be played there.
According to Matthew, blockchain would need what they call gatekeepers. But who are the gatekeepers that Matthew is talking about? From what I understood, they are the technology companies that manage our presence in the virtual world. And they are the companies that will have to deal with our profiles in the digital identification space. Does this mean we are replacing one broker with another? Are we witnessing a revolution to liberate us from the institution? Or a revolution in which we replace the ruling class with another, like so many revolutions? Or is it just a transitional phase, as many say, towards the real empowerment of the individual?
Can you imagine the kind of power we could reach if everyone collaborated without an intermediary, without a middleman? Are you serious? Did you not hear the man say that the big tech companies are going to be the middlemen? So what? It means that we are Arabs, and in all those big tech companies, there isn't one that is Arab. Are you okay with getting governed by Mark Zuckerberg and Google?
I want to look in more detail at blockchain and the decentralization of institutions from an Arab perspective. The Qatari entrepreneur Mohammed Al-Jafari has been an established life coach and business mentor for well over a decade. I would like to ask him about the lack of relevant Arab tech platforms in the field and how this can be shifted in the future.
من أكبر العقبات عدم دخول المواطن العربي في استثمارات تكنولوجية هو عدم وجود محافظ استثمارية تستثمر في هذا القطاع. قد يكون قلة الخبرة، حداثة التكنولوجيا. نلقى المحافظ الكبيرة تتجه بسبب العقليات القديمة اللي لا زالت تديرها إلى العقار، إلى الاستثمار في المشاريع المتعارف عليها. ولذلك يمكن الآن بدينا نشوف فعلا توجه في الوطن العربي في هذه الفترة في الدخول في استثمارات في التك. في شركات الآن كثير في السعودية، في مصر، في الكويت، في قطر أيضا الآن عندنا. أنا أعتقد العالم كله يحتاج هذه المنصات العربية. ليش؟ لأن اليوم حتى الغرب أصبح يعني يستنكر المحتوى البذيء في المنصات الموجودة والتوجه الكبير نحو المحتوى الشاذ خصوصا في يعني الغرب. فبالتالي أنا وجهة نظري حقيقة أن العرب الآن مش بس يعني راح تطلع منه منصات ممتازة للغرب، بينما العرب حتى للشرق أيضا، لأن القيم إحنا عندنا متزنة بخلاف يعني وجود المنظومة الشرقية اللي هي في الدول الشرقية اللي تعتمد كثير على الذكاء الاصطناعي والمحتوى التكنولوجي الغير إنساني، خلينا نقول نوعا ما هو روبوتس يتكلم، والمحتوى بالحرية الزائدة في الغرب. فإحنا يعني إحنا عندنا المحتوى المتزن بين يعني لو قلنا الرأي والرأي الآخر. فهذا اللي يمكن راح يعني ينجح منصاتنا في العالم كله، وخصوصا القيم اللي من وراء. ولكن تبقى الأسئلة الأساسية هي مدى إمكانية انطلاق مثل هذه المشاريع ودعمها من قبل المستثمرين وأصحاب رؤوس الأموال. لأن في الحقيقة أنت تحتاج مبالغ كبيرة تساعدك أنك أنت تطلع إلى العالمية من إعلانات وتسويق وتكنولوجيا وصيانتها وإلى آخره.
We had built a gigantic world where people meant little. If blockchain brings a new beginning, we can choose to build a world for the people. Whether this brand new world is also fairer and more egalitarian will be for us, the individuals, to decide.